It is 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call our Monday night, May the 2nd Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Would all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's bow our heads. Amen. On the agenda, we're going to make a change and not have a closed session tonight. So with that being said, I would ask for a motion to make that change.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor? 3-0. Minutes from 4/18. Trust everyone's looked through them, and if everybody's in agreement with them, then I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor? 3-0. Public comment time. Anyone having anything to say, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close public comment section. Move on down to general business. Mr. Daniel Roden, Emergency Management.
Good evening.
Evening.
I come here today to present the agreement between Allegheny County and the contractor who was awarded the bid for the generator that we're going to put outside here to power this building. I trust that you've all got that contract. The only thing in there that I would like to have some discussion about is the Section 7 where we specify completion time. The lead time I've been told on the generator right now is 46 weeks because of supply chain stuff. So
I agree. You know, I don't think that we can put a lead time on there. I know your tower, they may not be able to get the base for until August. It's just the suppliers are backed up, so putting a lead time in is, to me, is going to be problematic on that.
we want to put anything in there? Is the idea to just strike that section completely?
I wouldn't strike the section completely because then we'd have to rewrite it and bring it to the board, correct?
I would just mention, of course, I'll defer to Heather, but from my thinking, I think there ought to be a paragraph that at least allows for whether it be a monthly or a quarterly report from the vendor to identify the status of where it is so that we can track that and maybe not have a defining date, but at least have a record of how we're getting to where our goal is. But I'll defer to our attorney for that.
I think that makes sense, especially with the issue of getting it and the timing, because you can't even make it, nobody can make you any guarantees that actually will happen in that amount of time. Now, you could have some miracle and you'll get it sooner, but I don't know if I'd count on that. So in order to adjust that so that it doesn't say a completion time, it's just getting reports until it is completed.
It's a status report.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how it's defined in a paragraph and then the appropriate wording.
Make a motion that we accept the contract with the modifications discussed, sir.
Motion here, a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor? 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. April Ham, Finance.
Good evening. Have a few things. The first couple of things are dealing with the American Rescue Funds. The first policy was actually the policy that was before the board a few weeks ago. And there was a work session that afternoon, and there was consensus with the commissioners that we were going to do the standard allowance election, and we needed to change a few words. Needed to put another paragraph in there that the county was electing that. The county attorney has reviewed it, and we have the policy before you.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Motion to approve, here a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor? 3-0.
The second thing I have before you is an updated grant project ordinance for the American Rescue Plan Act. We have gone back and we needed to change some of the salaries that we're going to claim for that standard allowance after a conversation with the auditors and after another conversation with the School of Government. I have it before you what we need to claim for that standard allowance.
To approve.
Motion here a second.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor? 3-0.
I think the next thing on the agenda is a letter from the county attorney about the American Rescue funds and Allegheny Memorial Hospital.
Sure, so that
Okay.
letter, a legal opinion was necessary in order to make the determination that we could use these funds to pay out the last of the pledge that the county made to the hospital for their capital campaign. And the hospital came back with what their proposal was to do with the funds that is received, and what they choose to do with the funds, and then us choosing the standard allowance. That gives a lot of leeway for the county to be able to use those funds. And with their use of it and our standard allowance, then everything fits into the use of those funds through the funds from the government. So there's no issue with that, and we're in. The only thing that has to be done is on one of our reports, we make an adjustment and we show that this is where some of the funding went, and it would be under that, the revenue replacement category, and you're just making a note that that was paid out and it's allowable. There may be a little bit of additional reporting later on, but we don't know that for sure yet, and it may just be covered completely under the standard allowance, and we have nothing else further to do, and we would be fine. Their accountants are in agreement in regards to the payment of it, the use of the funds, and it is covered under the standard allowance.
Action on this? Okay. Any motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Not all in favor? 3-0.
And I will just add to that we are keeping, there seems to be some more discussion that things may change with reporting after we've just done our first report. So we're keeping internal spreadsheets, we're keeping the expenditure and everything that we need to do on this, just to let the board know, because there is that discussion out there.
Thank you.
The next thing I have is a line item transfer for jail salaries, law enforcement fuel, jail hospital expense, and again, law enforcement fuel. All those funds are available.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Motion here a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Not all in favor? 3-0 again. Right ahead.
And the last one is a line item transfer that was actually done by staff last week. I was out of the office a few days, and I believe it's recreation. Is that correct, Drew? Okay.
To approve.
Funds are available is the only thing I would add.
Got a motion here a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Next up, Commissioner John Irving, discussion on the Lions Club.
I'd like to take credit for this, but I can't. I had two citizens that came to me that request anonymity, and they felt that it was be proper if we acknowledge the contribution of the Lions Club in the purchase and the building of the pavilion by putting a plaque up. Right now, there's very few people that remember whenever the Lions Club was raising the money to purchase that park, Sam Brown's Mountain as it was called back then. And we did have a sign up, but whenever we took down the trees, the signs got knocked down, pushed over on the side, and it just went away. So their recommendation was to acknowledge the contribution of the Sparta Lions Club with a plaque, which I gave all the commissioners a copy of the proposed plaque and wording. Now, whenever I was in discussion with the Lions Club on this, their two representatives, I made sure that they were aware that I was not going to try and get any money from the budget this year because I was fearful of the county manager. He gets harder than a lip threat on a red-headed woodpecker whenever you start messing with his budget. And this is not in the budget if we approve it. So we were thinking that a bronze plaque and the wording would be something in the order of Sparta Lions Club Park and Pavilion dedicated to the Sparta Lions Club in recognition of the time and money donations that made the park and pavilion possible, with a emblem of the International Lions over on the left-hand side with a rope border for those that cannot see what I worked up. Now, right now, I have a quote from the people that gave me this picture, and they worked it up because I'm not an artist, and we're looking at $499, and that includes shipping. We would have to have additional funds, and I'm sure that nothing's going down, just like my waistline. Whenever we do started getting into the budget process, if we approve this for next year, it's going to be a little bit more. But I think that if we put up a permanent plaque recognizing the contributions to the Lions Club, it would be there long after Doc Evans is no longer here. He's the one that I always remembered out in the middle of the road selling brooms or taking money, begging money for the Lions Club. He was one of their bulwarks. But this would be there so that people, whenever they enjoy the park, that they would know the efforts of the Sparta Lions Club. So I would recommend that we take this into serious consideration. I'll leave it there, sir.
Okay, do we want to act on this tonight or wait till 2 weeks out, the rest of the board's year? It doesn't make any difference.
To be fair, I believe that we should wait until the full board is here, and I would recommend that we table this until the mid-month so that they can hear the presentation and get their concurrence and thoughts on it. But
Go along with that, we need the full board, so we'll table that till mid-month. Okay? On down. Commissioner John Irving again, the Chartered and Configuration Control Board.
one of the things, we have had an assessment by the North Carolina National Guard. The assessment was for security of our internet and other electronic means that we have in the county. One of the things that they pointed out is we need a board that they refer to as the CCB board. That board would basically oversee the operations of the electronic means within the county. We had an assessment of the secondary PSAP, or by the PSAP board, approximately a year ago. We were found that we had numerous deficiencies. We need to have policies, procedures, things of this nature that we simply did not have. Fortunately, we now have a IT specialist, but for the overseeing of this system, the requirement that they stated was the CC board, which is the Chartered Configuration Change Control Board. I would recommend that the IT individual for the county chair that board, one commissioner, and a member of the county government designated by the county manager comprise that board so that they could report to the county commissioners the needs, any security problems that we have, things of this nature. But this would fill the requirement that has been pointed out and also give some support to our IT specialists, sir.
Anything to add from that?
It's an appropriate recommendation, and I think that is something we need.
All of them do.
And if we vote to form that committee, sir, I will be glad to sit on that board. As a commissioner representative.
Motion to adopt this policy.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor? 3-0. Mr. Irving has volunteered to sit on that board and IT and
I will await the call of the chair. You can tell Chris he wasn't here, so he got the job.
A little asterisk down there.
All right, moving on down, number 5. Todd.
There are 3 in the resolution to declare as surplus property, 2 from the sheriff's department and 1 from maintenance.
It's not a name van.
No.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Motion here, second. Motion and second, any discussion? Not all in favor? 3-0. Order, county manager.
Pages 23 through 41, you have a copy of the most recent CCOOP document, which is the court's continuation of operations document. And inside those pages, it basically identifies, in the case of an emergency, how the courts will continue to function. And there are several, I guess, charts and such within it. It identifies leaders and alternates. It identifies committee members, call trees, essential functions, timetables, alternate facility listings, MOUs, who are the spokespeople for the media, the emergency contact list, and non-emergency contacts, as well as an MOA. This is something that you consider annually, or sometimes I think or maybe every 2 years, but it is for your review, it is for your approval. So I would ask, after you've had the time to look through it tonight, to adopt or approve or allow the appropriate signatures to take place on the document.
Motion to authorize, Mr. Chair.
Motion to hear a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor? 3-0. On down.
I have a couple. The first one is, sometime back, the board approved the Charters of Freedom to go at Veterans Park. That project certainly got out of the gate fairly quickly, but it's kind of stalled, I guess, for a lack of a better word. The difficulties have been with finding masons to do the brickwork, and had several discussions back and forth trying to encourage or support individuals to be interested in that project, and with no success to date. So I guess one thing I'd like to mention is if anyone has an interest or ability to assist on that project, we can certainly line you up with the appropriate individuals to complete that. But as of right now, our delay is with finding someone to lay the brick. And the other item is actually something that occurred today. Earlier this morning, we had another animal shelter inspection, And there was a number of items that were reviewed and discussed during that meeting. And some of these items are sooner than later that need some attention. So what I would ask is, and I know there's only 3 of the commissioners here tonight, and unfortunately I can't time when these things happen, but I would ask that we consider forming a committee to address some of these topics, because these are time sensitive now. And by the time our next meeting is scheduled, some of these things will have gone and passed. So this is something, some of these items we're going to address physically tomorrow. Some of them will take some additional thought and effort, but I would ask if we could form a committee, maybe of 2 commissioners, to get together possibly later this week to review the inspections, to talk about what steps we've taken to date, what steps we need to take, and move forward with that.
Mr. Chair, I don't believe we need a committee on that. I believe a committee exists, and that is the committee that did the animal control ordinance. Reactivate it. That would give you 2 commissioners, sheriff, yourself, or your representative, and we can take it from there.
I don't disagree with that. I just, that was an ordinance committee. I don't know if there were specifics that were assigned to the task of that. If there's not, this is an operational type.
Either way, I mean, we can appoint a committee, tonight or whatever, if it sounds like it's pretty time sensitive on part of it anyway.
I would like to have a meeting this week. That's the sensitivity of it.
Since I chaired the Animal Control Committee for the ordinance, I will be glad to sit on that committee. Bobby Irwin was the other commissioner to sit on that committee. However, with his situation, I don't know if he'll be available. But if you'd accept one commissioner,
I'll be glad to join you on that. I don't know about Bobby either, but anyway, you said a couple of commissioners would be.
I would recommend that we make a county manager or the representative appointed by him the chair. Let them call the committee and we'll get together.
Sounds good.
I think it's time. I mean, there are a number of issues, including the agreement with the provider also, that needs to be discussed. So,
If I may ask a question, Mr. Chair?
yes, sir.
Any of them repeats on the inspection?
yes.
Yeah, I think we better meet real quick.
Just line up to
Tell us when and where.
any day but Thursday. I got to back to the doctor. Be a definite time on that. But
What if we just go ahead and set Wednesday? Would the mornings work?
I will make myself available to you.
And I say that, and I just remembered David Spicer will be out of town until Thursday, so why don't we say Friday?
Okay.
And we'll set it at 9 o'clock. That's sufficient.
0900 Friday. Just make a note, Secretary.
conclude your comments, or have you got more? Okay. Mr. Comments. Mr. John.
Thank you, sir. One of the things that we brought up at the last commissioners' meeting, I believe, was the jail cell, the proposal to possibly move it next to the courthouse. In a discussion with what we are going to be doing, S&D is going to be doing evaluation of the courthouse. There's a possibility that major construction will be going on and the movement of the jail, if we can do that under the regulations that we have right now, it could present a problem with construction. We know we're going to have to do take some windows out and replace them. So we have agreed until we know what type of construction and where it's going to be done, that we will just hold that in abeyance. However, we do feel that they should go ahead and start refurbing the cell. Hopefully in the future, we can get it moved. I would like to point out that beginning on 16 May, it will be EMS week. And I can assure you that you do not appreciate these people until you need them. I've had 2 occasions in the last year that I needed them and they were there. So if you see them, thank them. They do a lot for this county. It is a thankless job. They see things that people really don't want to see. They're always there, no matter how cold it is, how wet it is. Give them thanks. Also, I'd like to point out, we got some flowers coming up. I'd like to thank personally Carrie Smith, Margie Smith. They're not related. And Marcia Wagner. These 3 ladies were down on their knees, much more planting flowers than their preacher would have liked to have seen, but they put them in the ground, and they've really done a real good job on that, and we're beginning to see the benefits of their work. I know that the county manager thanked them in the past, but as these plants come up, it's going to become more and more evident. Please come around, look at them until they dig them up to put the tower in. Golly. The maintenance staff, Judge Doughton appreciates the mulch. He is happier than a pig in garbage with the way that is looking up there and the mulch that has been placed down. So please pass to the maintenance staff that they have a friend. Well, he greets them in official capacity. Other than that, it is now primary voting time. The vote turnout has been very minimal. Friday or Thursday and Friday, there was a total of 106 people that voted in the primary. Oddly enough, 47 years ago today, we were pulling into Grandy Island on the USNS Truman Kimbrough with 4,755 refugees. Carried 5 at sea and pulled in with 4,755. Put her next on the line. Got back to Okinawa and Mayaguez went. 43 Marines killed. There's a lot of people made sure you could vote. Please do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to thank all the volunteers who went out and picked up litter again, and the roadways are looking great, but they will not continue to look great until people quit throwing their garbage out the window. So that is not your God-given right, so please put your garbage in the appropriate place. And as Commissioner Irwin said, it is primary voting time, and the only Saturday one-stop voting day that you have is May 14th. So a week from this coming Saturday is your only one-stop voting day that you can come here and vote on a Saturday. So, and if you want to complain about government and the things that everybody's doing wrong, you can, as long as you can vote. Because if you don't vote, then you didn't speak up. So, and you have been afforded the rights by Commissioner Irwin and other folks that have put their lives out on the line. So do your part. That's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a little letter here from the Solid Rock Food Closet I want to read right briefly. It says, "We at the Solid Rock Food Closet wish to acknowledge your generous donations of 457.5 pounds of food, an equally generous donation of $300 in cash when we commissioners had their canned food drive. That was a very good turnout. I want to thank all the citizens that came by and dropped off food and talked to us. The conversations and so forth. We certainly appreciate it, and we'll be back out this fall doing the same thing again. Got to brag on our county cattle judging team. They went to the state finals and came in second and third in the whole state. So that's thumbs up to that group. And as the rest of them has talked about the trash pickup, Susan Miles heads that up every year, and we appreciate her doing that. And like Michelle says, we all need to pitch in and do more cleaning up and not throw stuff out on the roadways. And I too certainly want to thank all the veterans that served in our country. And that's what it's all about, is being able to vote and have the liberties that we have and the pleasures of life that we all enjoy and worship to have. And I just want to thank each and every one of them and all the volunteers. Rescue Squad had a big day at Krause Park last Saturday. I was unable to get there, but they had a lot of people there and done a lot of good and had a lot of good relations there with folks. So with that being said,
Motion to adjourn.
go ahead, Heather.
I do have one thing on the
Legal.
jail. So I did speak with a representative from the state in regards to the historic designation, and she did say that as long as no federal funds, federal licensing, or federal permits are involved in that jail placement, that the county could do what they would like at the courthouse grounds and with the jail cell. So from that standpoint, we aren't restricted, so obviously other things come into play, but at least for us, that's one hurdle that we were able to cross.
Thank you.
County Manager, Assistant Manager. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank y'all. Thank